Today, hopefully, we're going to start Baina B'Kalim. It's a big day, Mitzvah Hashem. Let's finish up Baina B'Karka. We're up to Siman Shin Chesif Yud. It seems to break the rules. Let's see. Kisei Boy V'Dos Ein Nitlin Elin King Yesh Lahem Beis Achiza. Over here, it seems to say halacha that if you have a Kisei Bor and a dos, what's a dos? A bor b'chafira. Just bebinyan, and one is in the ground, one's a little bit above the ground, but it's also b'teich the karka. Ela milamalik sas skali. It's only like a little bit sticking out of the ground. So then these things, it's a shayla mitzad the muksa. If the item that's blocking it, the cover is blocking it, is considered to be, if it doesn't have a beis achiza, so then it's muksa. Why is it muksa? Because it's something that becomes a chelik of the karka. So forget the muksa, we have a bigger problem. We have a problem with baina, and that's what the place can say here. Shal kalim, okay, kalim is different. If you have something that's mechuber to the ground, it's a kli that's mechuber to the ground. So then, even if it doesn't have a beis achiza, as long as you set it aside, that's enough. If you have some type of a barrel, kisa chavias, which is buried in the ground, so then you need a beis achiza. Interesting. So Mishabur over here, what does he tell us? Not much. Mishabur says over here, he says, if it's a kisei karka, have a kiboina. It does sound like over here that we're not dealing with the rights. It sounds like we're dealing here with the most, is that we're dealing with the darabbanans. Kiboina, like a seiser, if you take it off with kiseiser. If it has a beis achiza, then it's a kli. So therefore it doesn't even look like a boina or a seiser. If it's connected to the ground, a kli mechuber lekarka. So he says usually something mechuber lekarka is like karka, but kevin the kisei ain't mechuber batzir loy mechsi kebaina. This thing doesn't look like baina. Doesn't look like baina. Let's try to make this practical. I must tell you that it does seem to come out over here that there's some type of a beta. It's hard to know. I mean, this is really a gemara, right? It's really a gemara. In Kuf Chavav, I suppose that the Torah, the Paiskim, the Shulchan Aruch, they're learning that this is a new sugya, that's something which is considered a cover of a ground, either like I played yesterday, because the ground can't have holes in it. That's, it's dangerous. And even though over here it sticks out a little bit, etc. But the norm is you always want the ground to be covered. You always want the ground to be covered. You always want to have it, even if it sticks out a little bit, it's pretty dangerous. Okay, you have to differentiate and say, well, that hole I can't fall into, and this one I could. Okay, maybe there's a light plug. I don't know. I was thinking out loud. Who says that what we're talking about is what I'm going to be talking about today, when I'm going to talk about the sponge holes and things like that? Maybe it's only a bore. Maybe it's only something that's of that nature. The whole thing is a little bit difficult to understand. I do see, though, that most of the paiskim, at least the Heintige paiskim, when they don the shilas, they assume that you have to come from Sif Yud, and so I will also. But I must tell you, I'm very nefayich about this Sif and how the Mishabura, the paiskim, they all make like mamish machdes nish bisim dikazah, like it's a whole new sugya, and they don't misyach it to the sugya of Shin Yud Gimel. I'm not sure, but I'm going to learn it today, like Xeris Akosif, that when you have things that are considered a part of the ground, the kisei of the ground, whether you have to don, is it considered that it has hinges? Is it something that is a part of the ground, mamish, like the actual bore in the ground? Or is it like a kli that's on the ground? I'm going to don the shilas that we have, kafid the Shulchan Aruch's cases over here. Agam, I must tell you, I could have heard somebody coming along, which I did not find. I didn't find any sefer that says that, these kisui, these kalim, these ditches and these bayris, they're not like ours. I could have heard somebody saying that. I didn't see anyone says it, so I'm not going to be the first. It does seem over here that this is some Isser D'Rabbanan of when you're dealing with covers on the ground. Is it Isser D'Rabbanan? Maybe it's a whole new baina like that. It's a whole new baina that when you have a hole on the ground, a ditch in the ground, some type of a some type of a pipage in the ground. All these things have new dinim, and the dinim here are, if you have a beis achiza, so then the kisei is considered like a kli. If you don't have a beis achiza, so then it's going to be usher. It's probably not the rice. It's probably only the rabbanan. I said yesterday that Rafalk learned out from here, maybe other dinim. I said when you see inside Rafalk, it's very difficult to understand, because the case he talks about where there's a roof, and the roof has like a lot of people have, it has some type of a plank or something like that, and it has a beis achiza, as something that you can actually hold on to and take off. And Okay, if it's on a hinge, obviously that's a part of the house. That's a door. He says you have mamish plank and you have a beis achiza. He says to take that off is an issa deraisa. I don't understand it, and some of maybe you have to be blame it on the person that wrote it, and maybe you didn't understand it properly. I don't understand it. It's nitza verstehen. It's impossible to understand such a thing. If it has a beis achiza, we never saw anybody that's make machmir a beis achiza to consider it deraisa for sure. I don't understand. And a delos almon, it's not because you see it as a beis achiza. So I don't understand what that could be. I got to think that once you have a beis achiza, you can't be machmir. So I don't know. Yesterday, I thought I understood Rafal. But today, I was looking and I see not so. But again, from this point on, let's assume that what we're talking about applies to holes in the ground, and even if they're sticking a little bit above the ground, it seems to be there's some form of kpeda. That's a real boina. What would be the longest of why boina I said yesterday? I guess the idea being is that when you have something that's on the ground, inevitably it's going to have to be holding up things. It's going to be holding you up. I guess its ikr function is to serve as ground. And everything else is like a tuffle function, something like that. The ikr function of when you have a kisei on the ground is to serve as the ground itself. The Shulchan Aruch talks about a case which juts out a little bit. It could be the Chazal made the plug over here. They're going to start saying this one yes and this one no, unless it's clearly distinct. Like you see, one of the cases in the Shulchan Aruch is where it's a kli which is attached to the ground that's clearly distinct. So then Chazal didn't make the plug. Mashen came, and it's only the Rabbanan, it's not the Raisa. So I don't feel guilty saying it's a plug. It seems to be that that's in fact that I can go in and out, and it's something that we'll see in a moment. It seems to be it's normal to go in and out to a certain extent. It seems to be that's why we're not dealing with the Raisas over here. That's what it seems. It seems to be that anything that has an escape hatch, etc., is not going to be considered a deraisa. Now, I want to differentiate between something to make sure something is clear. When we spoke about the tris box the other day, and I said to take off the tricks box, even if the tricks box is something that comes off with the greatest of ease. Comes off, you just you move the what's that thing called? The hook there, and you move the other hook and whatever, right? What are they called? The what? The zachers. So you move off the zachers. So I said the other day that's deraisa. I see kimat, that's the consensus of the poskim. Everyone takes on that's deraisa. The chilik is barer. There, the pshat is that I make a wall, or I make a roof, or I make something. And be'etzim, it's always going to be a wall. And beside, I want it to be a wall, and I'd like it to be a wall, lo'ilam vayed. What I did was I did something so that if I have to get into the wall, so then I'm not going to have to go and break apart my wall. But beside, be'etzim, this is wall. If you want to know what is this thing is wall. They just made a way in the case where there'd be a kilkel. Whoever lived in Nadira that had found out the hard way that the neighbor underneath you is complaining that the water is coming from your dira. So he found out that they have to go and break through the pipes, right? And he found out the hard way that it would have been much better if they would have made just like on the tris box, if they would have figured out a way to, connect the tiles without actually connecting them, life would be a lot better, right? And then they have to break up all the tiles and then have to make the tiles again. Who knows what I'm talking about? You're all, you know what I'm talking about. But Akapanim, that's what they did. So what is that? The floor is a floor. If they would come up with some type of a pretend, shot is that the floor, if I had to blipe the floor. Same thing with the tris box. The tris box is like the tris box, like the wall. It's like a wall. Elamai, I want to have the way to get in without having to break the wall. That's of course that's the extreme. That's borer. That's considered a bayin and a saisa deraisa when you're opening up the tris box. Sorry. And very good. That's like Rabbi Lieberman is asking. And therefore, a beis achiza is not going to help over there. A beis achiza. The only thing is if you have a beis achiza over there, so then maybe it would show me why would someone make a beis achiza on a tris box. That's a weird thing to do. And taka, you don't see it. You don't see it because it's taka a weird thing. If I would see a beis achiza on a tris box, I would start wondering, I don't know, maybe it's his safe, but then it would give it away, right? And maybe that's where he leaves. What is he leaving there? Kiveger or something like that, whatever. He doesn't want the kids to get it or something. In other words, it might be a gilui that it's not just there for the situation of where I have a kilkel in my tris. That's as I think is far. It could be that if somebody would tell me, look, there's a tris box there, and it has a beis achiza, and he tells me, look, and I actually use it because of that. I can hear. Then we could talk, and then maybe it would be mutter such a thing. But the point is that there is no such thing b'derek klal. And nagufa, because of the svar that we're saying, that applies also for events. Air conditioning vents, that applies also for many of the things. That nothing changes over here. The same thing with the window. It comes in and out with ease. The vada comes in and out with ease, but that's the surah of the structure of the binyan. The far extreme of that, the extreme of that, is what we've been talking about, things like these pekak chaloins, that the pekak chaloin is something that it's borrowed from its tzura, it's a different looking plank, and sometimes it has a basic and sometimes it has it's borrowed there, that the tachlis is not to be a one with the wall. It's a tachlis to be something which blocks the hole. But there's a hole. Your wall is a wall with a hole. That's the Gedara. Sorry? I think the AC vent is like the tris box. An AC vent, the pshat is that, and when I say vent, I mean the thing over there. You know, I don't mean the vent. I mean, yeah, sometimes they have that thing that enables you to get to the filter. No, but I'm saying you have that. Some people have a plastic one, which is a solid. Some people have where the actual air comes out. Some people have all different types, right? Yeah, that thing, right? So I'm saying, but that thing is also the roof. That is that off on Shabbos is a deraisa. To me, it's bar. It's bar. Oh, very good. I was trying to think of examples. I got a thought of a different one. But that's also not good, not bad. Like a laundry chute, right? A laundry chute, right? Well, the thing is, like a laundry chute. I mean, the one I remember, the old country it had a thing. What? The actual. So you should know that Rabbi Singer just brought it in a moment. She's bringing us into his toilet, right? Rabbi Singer, he just brought us into the Haim in Borough Park over there, and getting nostalgic a little bit, right? And it has that laundry chute, right? The laundry chute, and so where I come from, the laundry chute has a cover that's attached on hinges, but his is not. His is not. Okay, probably it was attached by hinges, and one of the wild Zinger kids broke it off or something. So then, anyways, that might have a tzura of a nachiza, but no, it never was. He said, and what is it? It's just like, does it look like? That's an actual handle. That's an actual handle. I would want a case of where it doesn't have a handle. Once it has a handle, so then it's a little more. It's made to you're supposed to hold it down like that. Yeah. So that's a good example, I guess, of a pekak cholin, that it's borrowed, that it comes off, it comes on. Anyways, it comes off. I think they do laundry by you once in 30 days, no? Rabbi Singer, they do laundry once in 30 days or no? After Tisha B'Av, the Kalapachas and Cholamayid and whatever. No, but you get my point. What other cases do we have of a pekak cholin? The point I want to understand is that the tris box is the opposite extreme of a pekak chaloin. A pekak chaloin is this wall has a hole. That's the lumdus of a pekak chaloin. This is a plug. What's a pekak in Hebrew? It's a plug. It's a plug, which means plug. What I see a hole. That's the idea we're trying to figure out. Mashenke, when I have a tris box, it's the opposite extreme. The opposite extreme. A tris box is not a hole that's plugged up. It's the wrong ashkafa. It's the wrong attitude of looking at a tris box. A tris box is wool, and it has a way to get in. It's different. The whole now here is dealing with the kisei karka. It's okay. Oh, and one more thing: the sugi of del salmana. When you're dealing with the sugi of del salmana was mechadish does a new thing, that anything that its tsura is a trick, and you don't necessarily chap. So then even if there's a hole here, and you know there's a hole here, and you use it quite often, but now there's a new marsayin, call it marsayin, for lack of a better word. Now there's a new mechzik baina. Now there's something that when I look at this thing, it looks like a part of the structure. Again, really, finalize on the cases. The last case over here is this floor. Exactly why this broke the rule. I guess, like I said, this far is. I guess this was something that Chazal had a hard time with. Chazal were very bothered that how do you look at a kisei on the floor? A kisei on the floor is something that when you see a kisei on the floor, it advises to the person more floor than hole. Because a hole in the floor is no good. You know, it's not like a hole in the maybe even a hole in the roof. It's certainly not like a hole in a wall. When you have a hole in a wall, you see in front of you a plug in the hole, and the hole is normal. Mashenkein, when you see a hole in the floor, kanir, the way Chazal or Misyach is to it, is that Chazal considered this to be not a hole. You can't have a hole. A hole is bad. So when you have something blocking it, we consider it to be a chelik of the floor. The truth is, if somebody comes along and says a different bar, it's also okay. My point is one thing: we have to go with the Gedarim, the Shulchan Aruch. When it came to a hole in the floor, seems to have different levels, different Gedarim over here. But I'm open to. I looked today in Yerushalmi. I thought I'd find something. I got more confused. So I don't know. But I'm done. So let's go one by one now through all the cases. Based on this Akdama, we'll go one by one. Case number one: the drain hole, the sponge hole. The regular sponge hole, what's lemais on the sponge hole? There's a few different types. So it's like this. If you have a sponge hole without a beis achiza, what's an example of a sponge hole without a beis achiza? Who has one in their house? Anyone? What? No, that's not so pasha. That's not so pasha. So like this. There's about 4 different types of sponge holes, right? I'm talking right now about the caps, the caps. So some of the sponge holes have slats in them. They have those the slats, right? And therefore you don't even have to take it off, right? You also sometimes have the option of taking it off, but they have these slats in them that the water can go straight through and you don't have to take it off. Who has that? Who has that? You have that? Who else? You have that? Okay, we have a few who have that. No, don't be shy. Raise your hand. What? The shower. No, the shower drain comes out? Yeah. Oh, your mom should have screwed. Okay, fine. But this one is like the white one I'm saying. It looks like a sponge hole. But you have a lot of sponge stuff, you can take it off. But you don't have to take it off. It just has the one you that's one. I mean, everyone looks at me, but is that the one you have or no? What'd you say? You don't have that one. Okay, in the Shiva, that was the ones they had. I remember the Shiva they had. I was looking today in Taror, that office. When you walk through, there's one over there. Like, okay. Anyways, so that one, I'm chayshish, very stark. That's not called a beis achiza. It's not beis achiza there. Beis achiza means that there's something bidafka made to grip it. It's true that any normal yeshivish guy, he's going to pick it up from there, right? But it's not a beis achiza. So this goes into a drain that I don't care if you open it. It doesn't say anything here about opening it every 30 days or not 30 days. So here I have in front of me something that l'choira becomes a part of the karka. Now today I'm not going to quote so many names because I looked around the Achrayim and it's a big billboard over here in this again, and they're saying fakert from each other and fakert from Minei Bay, and they're quoting each other and they're arguing with each other. I don't know. So I'm just going to tell you what comes out from the Mishabur and the Paiskin. That you have a sponge hole that has the slats in it. L'daiti, that's not a beis achiza. If it's not a beis achiza, just in Shinchas, if it's not a beis achiza, to take that out on Shabbos is aser. I don't know if it's deraisa. It doesn't sound like it's deraisa, but to take that out on Shabbos is an iser gomer. It's a gomer. You have to know that. It comes to gas. Sometimes a person has like a Friday night was Purim. It could be these things are negay, fragnish. That's number one. Number two is, and don't forget, another case of Isser, I'm going to go from like Isser to Mutter, right? Another case of Isser is, I remember I had this in my old Dira. I don't know if the item has this. I thought it was like the most brilliant thing. This is, I mentioned it, but there was a fake tile that I didn't remember. My wife told me we had this in an old Dira, that there was a fake tile. And the fake tile, you would lift up the fake tile, and under it was a sponge hole. But there was a tile on top of the sponge hole. That's just was one of the tiles like that. And that's so to take that off, that fake tile on Shabbos, that's a delis almana. That's a delis almana. That's a good example of a delis almana. That would be aser. Take that off on Shabbos would be aser. That's not going to be deraisa, right? What? If it would have it beis achiza, I guess it wouldn't be a delis almana, but it would give away the, Also, it's not to negate it's going to have a beis achiza because it's going to. Maybe if it's clearly distinct, we could talk. If it's clearly distinct, then we could talk. Maybe. Now, next, this is the most negay shaila everybody here, I think, right? So what happens when your wife does sponja? So she asks you, l'kol hapachas, you can help something. Could you take off the sponge cap, whatever that thing is called, right? So that thing over there, could you take it off? What's it called? The lid. You take off the lid. Now, most of the lids have around them a rim, right? And the longest is because otherwise, how are you going to get it off? Otherwise, right? So they don't have like a handle. Otherwise, you're going to trip over it, right? So they have it goes over, and everyone knows what I'm talking about, right? You have the actual thing goes in, and then there's a rim that goes around onto the floor. Okay, so it's interesting. I saw that, I told you in that safer that you can't get, and this in Kaplan, in the 89th hour over there, he says that's not called a beis achiza. Now, if it's not a beis achiza, you will not be able to take this off on Shabbos, right? I don't understand why it's not a beis achiza. But what does beis achiza mean? A place to hold. I don't understand it. Why would it not be a beis achiza? These aren't the svaras now of delis almana, of things that look like they're one with the karka and whatever. To me, I can't think of anything. I wouldn't think of. I'm kimat barley that the base achizas of Chazal were not like a handle sticking out and whatever, because if you had a handle sticking out, you're going to probably trip over it. This is not a new thing. I think this is an old invention. It's as old as maybe the wheel, that the base achiza is a base achiza. It's a place where you're oiches. That's exactly what it is. I think in Hebrew, it's modern Hebrew, I think it's called a base achiza. I don't know. But I'm not talking about the ones you turn yet. Right now, I'm talking about the ones that, it has like this, right? It's round, and then there's a rim sticking out, and you just like, say if you pop it up, it pops up. Yeah. Sorry? But it's a base achiza. There's but there's something to be oiches. Sorry? No, definitely not. It was designed that you should be able to take it off. I don't know. So here's part. Rabbi said, we have a lot to get to. Rabbi said, we're getting to your toilet. One second. He's very nervous because he's with the toilet and everything. We're getting there. Relax. We're talking about your toilet. 1 minute. Like upon him. About it, if you need a screwdriver to get it off, so then the screwdriver will be a cliche. If there's nothing else, why can't you use a fleshik knife? Right? No, because it's cliche makbal. Rabbi said, you're only allowed to use a screwdriver, which is a cliche makbal yeser, a comment that you don't have a kli heter. The Mishnah says it's a Mishin Chasiv Katan. You get on the charts here. So, the Mishnah. So besides, if you have no ability to get it out because you don't want to make your fleshik knife, soya later, right? So fine. So then you're allowed to use the. About that's a basic chiza. Get it out. I can't think of any. It's the most passionate basic chiza in the world. What? Oh, we're getting there slowly. We're going in order. That's clarify the talk. That's not awesome. It's passionate. So. What? Sorry? The reason why you have a list. No, mam's not. There are a bunch of them. I see that you don't know that there's different types of lids. I see you don't know. There's this type of lids that Taka don't have that rim around. The Haraya, they have the rim I just described. It has the slats. And most of them don't have that base achiza. Because if it would have a base achiza, I just said a minute ago, it's usher. But once it would have a base achiza, I'm saying now it's mutter. So there exist lots of types. There's the types that don't have the rim around. And bedafka, there's types that do have the rim around. And there's the types that have even like a little something that sticks out that you could lift it up with, etc. So I don't know. Rabbi say, you realize that, just think about what the Olam is like even pondering. I'm spoiled that you're even, wait, slow. I'm spoiled even that you're pondering the Shaila, because imagine that it wouldn't have a rim all around. It would just have one little bit that would jut out. So that would be mutter, right? Because that for sure is a handle, right? So now that it has more, it's worse. It's like menanimna. Should that even declaring such a thing. So everybody say, whoever wants to be machmir, hey, it's not even shaila. It's not even a shaila. It's mutter gomer. But anyways, so no, but hey, go say it's a shaila and Shabbos. The Rambam, the Moshe, other Moshe, right? Moshe had Moshe. Moshe writes in some places that, like, the Indian is so borrowed, but it's Hilchos Shabbos, and Hilchos Shabbos, maybe there's makom for chumras. So somebody wants to be machmir, let him be machmir. Why should I'm not going to tell him not to be machmir in Hilchos Shabbos. Does it have a shame of a chumrah? What do you think? Saying that man doesn't. Chumrah, because it's a beis achiza. What? I would do it. Of course I would do it. I thought I would do it. What do you think? It's not us there. Why wouldn't I do it? I also scratch my head on Shabbos. If I scratch my head on Shabbos, why not? You let it scratch it. Okay, I don't know. What? Everybody say, let's hear some of my cases first, and then you may say, but again, anyone who wants to be machmir, you guys should be machmir. I'm not going to stop you. I have no problem with that. So let's go weiter. The next shaila is the manholes in the street. Where's it Negeya? It's mamish Negeya, unfortunately. Sometimes, the Arab, Yimach and Shmai, they come Erev Shabbos, there's something to do over there, and, they forget to put it back on. This happens. If you don't know what I'm talking about, conventional sign. What? There's a story over here, but I don't know if that's that they forgot to put it on. I think it's just they forgot to put it on, right? No, but sometimes they don't put it on properly, and it's Erev Shabbos, and they have to fix something, and they don't put it on, right? This happened in Ramat Shlomo about 3 years ago. 3 years ago, this was a Maisa, that there was a manhole on, I live on on Mutzafi, in the street next to me is definition. Between us is Fatal. On Fatal, there was a manhole that was just off. So somebody came into me between Mincha and Ma'ariv. Which right after he was waiting by the door, and I speak until Ma'ariv. So the second Ma'ariv started, he told me there's a manhole there. Anyways, the manhole should be open and whatever. Okay, so Shilas, do you have to just like stand there for a few minutes and try to get a guy, right? And also, most of the time, who's the guy? The guy is a shiksa. She's not going to be capable of pushing this manhole in or whatever. So what do you do? So if the shaila we're dealing with is a shaila of deraisa, it's a very serious shaila. Then you have to really establish that it's a pekuach nefesh and whatever, or it's a derabanan. It's a shaila of derabanan, and then if the shaila of derabanan, b'makom hezek rabim will be able to make, or is it mutter gomer? This might have happened 3 years ago. This is after my other kollel learned boina. The story happened, and between now. So that when I spoke about manholes 3 years ago, 4 years ago, I wasn't as knowledgeable in manholes, and now I am certified. No, I don't mean that kind of certified. I mean like in manholism, right? So it seems there are two types of manholes. Okay. Is the meaning covers, manhole covers. You do not have manholes out there that you see once in a while, but those are usually on hinges that have mamish like a handle. You know what I'm talking about? The gas one they have. That one's like a plastic handle. You know what I'm talking about, right? So that one is the plastic handle. That's Mefurish and Chazal. That's mutter. That's a Mefurish Gemara. Even if they open it every, 30 years, who cares? That Chazal said if it has a handle, it's mutter. Gemara. That's it. Even though I see some svarim, they're mistopic about it. But okay. Sorry? That's something else. I'm talking right now about the ones in the street. Each case is a different case. Maybe we'll get to that. We'll talk about that in a moment. But Akapanim, we have here this massive man. We'll talk about that. I want to talk about the drains up by the sinks and all those things. Those massive drains that go to span the whole sink and whatever. Anyways, see, I have over here these manholes. So I became a big bucky. These manholes, how do you think you take them off? What do you think? So it's interesting. What? So first of all, they just have holes, right? So you think you just need like, the two big Arabs or something to take it off, right? It actually sounds interesting. There's two types. There's one that you have to take like a metal rod and it goes into a hole, and there's a hole that you go into. It's some type of like lockage system or something or whatever. And you have to like turn it and you pick it up with that metal hook. And you can't like get it without it. You have to get in there with this metal hook. It seems to be that you need the metal hook to get it out. I'm assuming what that is, if that's called a beis achiza. I know what that is. What? I don't know, because it's not, you need this metal piece. It's like you have to bring a beis achiza to it. I'm assuming about it, I must tell you. What? It's not just like a regular hole and just find a place to take the hole. I don't know here if beis achiza, if it has to be visible or not. I'm not like that. I'm assuming. What? Maybe it's something like that. I'm not sure, but I don't know. But there's something that fits into yeah. But maybe it's something that they made a piece for your extension of your beis achiza. So it's like the start of a beis achiza. That's one type, and then the other type is just push it very heavy, and you just pick it up. This one punkt was the type which was just very heavy. That's all it was. It was just a very heavy one. It doesn't have. Another thing is that grada klape, putting it back on, it seems to be just like really don't need to have much chachma. You just put it back on and that's it. So now, what's this in halacha? What's this in halacha? So this is something that like when you look at the paiskim over here, I need some type of a beis achiza. It doesn't seem to have a beis achiza. It doesn't seem to have a beis achiza. Is this a deraisa or derabanan? I would have thought it's derabanan. That's what I would have thought. And what would the other thing? Derabanan or deraisa? What? The Shiur says kibayin, and he doesn't differentiate. The Shiur says kibayin, it doesn't differentiate. At the time when this happened, I told him, look, if you can get a guy, get a guy. I told him if you can't get a guy, so then you get two people together to push it in. You get two people to push it together in, and maybe Shnaim Shasu. I also had it sad it was still Ben Hashmashis and whatever, and that was the whole story. So the mice afterward, they asked if it's Silberstein this shayla. Vitzig Silberstein, because Geschmack is shayla. So Vitzig Silberstein, he said like this. He said, he probably wrote about it also, but he said like this. He said, I don't remember, could be even said from Rabbi Yashin, I don't know. He said that he thinks a manhole is different. He said he thinks a manhole, because it's so heavy, and it needs an umnus to open it. It's not something you just like pick it up. It's like a difficult thing. It needs gvura and umnus. So they said that that's something that by him was pashut. It's a chelik of the karka. It's a chiddush. I'm saying, but that's what he said. He said it by him was a chelik of the karka, and therefore he held that it's a deraisa always. Now I don't know if he means it would have mamash a handle or something like that, but he means the ones that the way we have them, they don't have regular pashut handles and whatever. The point was, I also was mesupik that that's probably not called a beis achiza, but I at least thought it was drabanan. I thought it's drabanan because when you look in the Shulchan Aruch and Siman Shin Ches Yud, you see nothing but the words kibayna, kibayna, kibayna. You don't see anything else. And Yitzchak Zilberstein said not like that. He said Igrada would have said the same thing. The Psaki would have given the same Psaki. He felt it was a hezek berabim, and he held that Ishtaim Sha'asu, you'll be saying on the Shitas, and he held Ben Hashmashit. The Cheshbon we made, he agreed with, but he held that the Shiloh at hand was not a Shiloh of Rabbanan, he held the Shiloh was Deraisa. So, Maisa, I don't know. His Iker Nimaik was, it's not something that a regular guy could just go over to and pick up. He said, if it's not something a regular guy can go over to and pick up, that's Baina Bakarka. Okay, you need to be Gadol Batayr to say such a svara. I hear it. Let me explain. I hear what he's saying. It's just that there's no precedent. It's just, it's a svara. It's a svara. Who could argue it? You know, what? He didn't differentiate. Why would it? You mean a hook, a handle? No, I can't imagine he would say that if there's mamash a handle. If there's mamash a handle, then I can't imagine. But what?
Sometimes there's no basically on the actual bit, but on the rim around it has
like an indentation.
You to get the crowbar.
I don't know. It sounds like that type of basically he wouldn't be thrilled with. Not dafka. No, on the side you could also have basically. That's why I said the rim before is a beis achiza. But the point is, he seemed to say that if you would have that rim type of beis achiza around, that would also be a deraisa, because it's so heavy and it requires an umnus. It's not something a regular person could do. So yeah, that's considered a part of the karka. Interesting svara. Sorry. There could be a shaila of oil, but I don't want to go into oil now. That'll go into the svara of moisif ala oil. Moisif ala oil is usually mutter and whatever. That's a whole different shmuz. Okay, that's l'chayra. So where are we left with? What are we left with here? Chamshi's toilet. Okay, here we go. So like this, right? You don't care that I'm saying your name, right? You don't mind. No, you were talking to me about your toilet and everything, right? I'm sorry. Now it seems to me he didn't want me to say it was him. Or it's his wife, all right? So like this. Now, a lot of the toilets today, I'm going to tell you the secret. You guys are going to not believe what I'm about to tell you, the secrets that are about to come out of here. You know, a lot of the toilets today, they have pretend this is a toilet. It used to be, actually. But, so you have like that square, and it has two sides to flush, right? And it's like pushes in. Everyone knows what I'm talking about? Right? The fancy people one, right? I think that, do you know what's going on behind there? Behind there, there's all pipes and waters, and there's a ganze family behind there. There's a whole, there's fish, there's whales, there's ganze stuff going on behind there. That l'chayra is just a fancy tank. Now, it's just, just like the old toilets, the regular toilets, they managed to do it inside the wall that you don't have to see all the dreadful, what's going on there, So instead they put this rectangle over there, and you press it, and you press that side, and over there, and everything is good. Mistama to take that off on Shabbos, it's at least a delos almana. Zikr delos almana, it becomes a part of the wall. It's probably, what do you say, everybody say? It's probably like a tres box, no? It's probably like a tres box. I think it's like a tres box. In other words, it's probably deraisa, because they just do it to have an easy access to get in order that, you still don't have to start breaking apart the wall every time you have a problem in the toilet, right? So that's not gishmak. So what they did is they made it in a way where it comes in Hagam, it comes out very easily. Right? It comes out very easy. It just, you have to wedge it out and it comes out. Mistama, that's deraisa. It's at least a derabanan. And that one for sure is an issue. Where's it Negeya? Like I said, sometimes you go to a toilet on Shabbos and it's not your own. And the worst thing is to leave the toilet in a different state that you went in, especially if someone's waiting outside. That's the worst thing in the world. And then you press it. Does that ever happen to you? And you press it too hard. And you don't know, maybe the first time that ever happened, right? There's a guy, the balabas is standing by the door. Watch. This happens all the time. He knows it happens all the time, right? And you press it. I'm like, oh no, man, right? So now you want to get it back. That it's not, whatever. Stomach's pretty serious. This is a delos almana. What? What do you mean? Yeah, but I'm saying this is a Shiur of Deraisa. To put it back on Deraisa is at least a Derabanan, and it's pretty bad. Pretty good pharaoh. What? Oh, if you have hinges, it's a different story. I don't know. Not mine. The one I'm talking about, I have one in my house. It comes right out. I'm saying, well, listen, fancy people with your laundry chute. I'm talking to the simple people, nicht from the Buddha Park, from the hive, yeah? I'm talking about people from the 5 towns, simpler people, no. Shine. Kitzer, is Rabbi say, that one I'm not talking about. That's not the one you have, right? That's not the toilet that you have, right? The toilet your wife has is like a regular tank in the back, right? Regular tank. Okay. The tank in the back. So I see like this. It's rare that I say chedushim. I always tell you things that aren't chedushim, right? But it would seem that from what I'm about to say, I might be saying a chedush. I'm not sure. So let's see. So I saw like this. I saw that. Let's see. I don't know. Let's see. So sometimes you have in the back, you have that whole, you have the toilet and you have the tank and you have the whole thing. In all the svarim over here, they call it the Niagara. You know what I'm thinking. But anyways, they call it, all right, they call it the Niagara. Nun Yud Aleph Gra. That's what I'm telling you, the Niagara. That's what they call it. Okay. And they all talk about this Niagara. I remember the first time I was learning, I know what's going on here. Now, this is the Gaya. This is the Gaya. Why is it the Gaya? Because you come into a house on Shabbos and you see, look at that. The toilets, every color in the rainbow, gevainlich inside there, and you don't want that because that's a problem of teveya. So you're looking around, where's the culprit? And then you realize the gewalt, it's inside the tank. Sometimes they leave the grata, when they do that, it's a little bit more of a kula de geshayla because that's more of a grama. We spoke once, just a moment, because the water, the way it works in the tank is that the water, if the water goes straight down into the toilet, so then, it's a whoosh, right? You're unleashing a kayak that's being harnessed, and then the water goes and that it unleashes the tseva, the dye, etc. But mashenkin, if it's in the tank behind, usually the way it works is that the water fills up and it goes upward. So therefore, it's more of a grum. Therefore, it's a little bit more of a kula de kashayla, but you're a machmer. You're a machmer in the shayla, and you want it out, so you want to of course, the second you do that, it's going to fall right in, whatever, But that's what you want. You want to knock it out or something because it's muktzah, you want to get it out of there and whatever. Okay. So now you want to pick up the lid. There's a rim around. You got to pick up that rim in order to get in there and to do whatever business you have to do. Okay. Now, to fix the toilet when things break, I'm talking the things that people wouldn't have realized. So you got to pick off that lid on Shabbos. In Maisa, who remembers I don't know if they have this anymore, but I'm afraid to say, in camp, there were bad bachrim that they would drink beer. Right? So when I was trying, so Nussi knows what I'm talking about. Right? I used to yell at them, right? It's not a good dogma you're the counselor. So where did they put the beer? In the back of the toilet. Right? In the back of the toilet. And Friday night, they would want to have beer and everything because it's with an Orchaim and a Kudish, Alumnus, it's the cold place or whatever. It's like, who was the first, extremely intelligent bacher, what yeshiva got kicked out of, but the coldest place in the entire campus in the toilet. The English don't know what I'm talking about, but I can't, they understand beer. They don't know what I'm talking about, but whatever. Anyways, so they want to lift off that thing. And of course they have to keep it on because the head counselor is going to find out and that you're going to get in trouble. So they allowed on Shabbos to go thing and go into Niagara Falls to bring out the beer. Good? That's the shayla. Was? Everything's easy. All of Baini Bakarka is easy. So is taking so let's see. Wait, slowly. It doesn't matter if it's attached. That was what we spoke about many times. When you talk about a shelf is also not attached. Baini Bakarka doesn't have to have attached. It has to have a tsura. That this is Rabbi say, the thing that I'm thinking of before with the toilet, where it has that rectangle, the thing's not properly attached. It just clicks into place. It clicks in and out. It's very easy. It's got nothing to do. Sorry? So Shilas, is this like a tris box that the reason they have it there, okay, the components, right? But the reason, just so much more, the reason they have it there is probably like the idea of the tris box. It's to have a tsura, which is now attached to the karka. This thing is attached to the karka. And you have to have a lid on this thing, which is attached to the karka. And now that you have this lid on the thing, which is attached to the karka, so what's the lumdis? The lumdis says that it should have a certain sewer like it's closed. Now, why do they have a lid? Because they don't want that every time the toilet breaks, you have to smash through. Obviously, they did it in a way. They should be able to go in and get out and get it out. That's the idea. Do you consider that to be a karka? If it would have a base achiza, right? So then, we'd be okay. We'd be okay. Now, just please, one more. So I know it's your toilet, but so I saw that it's a Nissen Kaplan in his Sefer in the 39th Ara. No, 39th Sif in the 75th Ara, he says it doesn't have a base achiza, it'd be a problem. It should be a problem, right? Because he's saying it's a part of the karka. Okay, so now you get involved. Sometimes the way it works is that it's a rim that goes over, and then that's a shiloh. Is that called the base achiza? Okay, that grada is a mashu that I could have heard if the oilam would have argued on that. I could have maybe heard because the base achiza I spoke about before is mamish a base achiza. It's something that sticks out to be able to chop. I could have heard here it sticks out. I still don't agree, but I could hear that somebody could come along and say this thing which is going around the top and goes over the top and it goes over the tip, over the rim. So maybe that's not called the base achiza, right? Sorry, no, I didn't say I agree. I don't agree, but I could have heard here if the oilam would have said that that's not called the base achiza, I could have maybe fathomed it. That's not where you don't have something. It's just I don't fully understand, but at least I could have been differentiated. So he writes over there. He says, look, if it doesn't have a base achiza, now there are cases where it doesn't have a base achiza. It's flush against. Pardon my French, right? But it's everyone says to talk about it's like flush against. You have the rectangle. That's the one I'm looking at right now, right? But it's like a rectangle like this, and it just fits right in. It fits right in, and it doesn't. So if it goes over, it's pashut by me. It's a base achiza. Nothing to discuss. If it's on it, and you just see that line around, what I'm talking about, that like thin airspace of line. So then that might not be a base achiza. So Rav Nissen writes that's a problem. He writes that's a problem. He writes that's a problem. This he brings from the Shmir Shabbos Kilchasa. He says he asked the Shmir Shabbos. Shmir Shabbos says it's a problem. And in the Shmir Shabbos himself, he talks about a similar case in Chav Gimel Kuf Mem Vav. He talks about a case of a water tank, like on the roof I mentioned yesterday. And he says over there that if the water tank has a base achiza, then good. If it doesn't have a base achiza, if it doesn't have like a handle or something, so then no good. And you won't be able to take off it on Shabbos. That's what he says there, right? I'm sorry. Well, let's go one by one. I'll give my examples first. Akapanim, I don't know. I don't understand. Maybe I'm reading this wrong. Doesn't it say in Shulchan Aruch, Kisei bor v'dos, nitalelim ken yesh lam beis achiza, v'shel kelim afilu mechuber betit yachal lital. If you have a kli, and then you attach it to the ground, the Mishpura says, even though this has a shame of karka, the after ba'alma mechuber karka is karka, kevan de kisui, einoi mechuber betzir lakli, v'akli megula l'mayla, it's loy mechzik ebayna. Why is this not a kli? Why is it a kli? What's one big toilet? It's one big kli. So I don't know. Why is it not one big kli? And at least the tank is a kli, even if you say the toilet has a hole, so it has to go into the ground, which I also don't understand. But the tank which isn't behind the toilet, of course that's a kli. Why is that not a kli? I don't understand it. So besides mutter even without a base achiza, so the whole shiloh fights it nishtan. What? Let them be as tight as. Oh, you want to get into a tekiah? Well, that could be. We're going to talk about that. Hopefully, we'll get to today. There's a whole new shiloh. Maybe if something is super tight. So then even by kalim, when something is super tight, it can be a problem. But the regular one is something you just have to just click it out of place. So I don't know. Manoimar, manadaber, manstadik. I don't know. I got it. It's interesting. My tank on the roof, I went to look, Taka. That was super tight. I was trying to look, right? Wife is up there with me. You're going to break it, Shragi. You're not whatever, but she's right. No, but it's tight. It's tight. That could be a whole different schmooze. But the ones behind the toilet, the regular ones, the one behind your toilet is tight or no? Certainly the ones where they put the beer aren't tight. I mean, that's no see? Huh? Yeah, but mamish tight? No see? No. Sorry? They use it too much. It's not tight, right? Heavy, it's so heavy to take off. Yeah, okay. Oh, really? Yeah? What? Contrary, it's mamish for your wife. It's very heavy to take off. Or no? Heavy. Yeah. All right, no, but maybe if it's so heavy and you need 3 people and whatever. But it's just heavy. It's like, I don't know. I could put him, halacha l'maisa, l'daiti, manashach. If it has a rim around it, there's no shaila. If it's without a rim around it, it's also no shaila. It's mutagamar. It's a kli. I don't understand it. I don't know. I told you in a lot of the kids' fund, there's a lot of bilbil over here. These ones are clothing. These ones, it's all bilbil. Sorry? Stomach's a base of chiz even then. I don't know. Where would they have a hole? Like where? Stomach's even a base of chiz. But what's the difference? It's mutter. You want to know if it's super mutter? It is. Say it. Well, the tris box is a different lumdus. The tris box that's a tsura of karka. Karka is. There's nobody that looks at a tris box and says, that's a kli that sticks out. It's just no shaykhs, right? Here, there's a kli. A toilet is a kli, right? It's a kli that you hope and pray is attached to the ground, right? But it's a kli nonetheless. It's no shaykhs. This is a kli. That is karka. What? Everything here, it doesn't matter. That's the sugis in Tumah V'Tayra. Those are sugis in Tumah V'Tayra. The sugis in Tumah V'Tayra are sugis if it's made to be attached to the ground and this and that. Derech Agav, it's not even true. There are portable toilets and everything. It's not even true. But it doesn't matter. Our discussion is that this is not boina deraisa. These are mechzik boinas. Chazal did not say. Rabbi said, I explained this once before. I keep on telling you we don't understand it. It's very simple. This part's simple. When you have something that is the lid of the ground. So then I understand that's called ground. The ground is something which is more suras bayna, doimah bayna. When I have something which is attached to the ground, but it is a kli. When I see this thing, it's a kli that's attached to the ground. So the first place, we're trying to figure out, this is not the rices of bayna, this is mechzik of bayna. So we're trying to figure out, is this considered the ground for the time being? That's what we're trying to figure out. Or do I say that it's a lid? That's the question. So when it's the karka, when it's a trisbak, it's the ground, it's the wall, etc. But when it's something that's a kli, of course it's more doimah to a lid. About that, anybody that sees this sees a lid of this thing, right? I give you an example, right? I would imagine that before you learn boina, it's hard to go back. It feels like it's been years, right? But go back 2 weeks, and if I would have told you, let's see, we got to go back in time, right? But let's say I would have told you that to take off the manhole in the ground, that's a shaila in halacha if it's baina. And then I would have told you that, I told you there's a shaila, I don't know which one's the shaila, like the Gemaras always say, that Rabbi Yochanan told us one thing, I don't know which one he said, right? If I would have told you, I know there's a shaila in halacha on the manhole, or I'm not sure if it's on the lid of the toilet tank, right? I imagine in my brain, I would have said, that one is probably the shaila, because that one's more looks like baina, the karka, whatever, it looks like it's the ground, it looks like it becomes the ground. I'm not showing this thing, what's shaykh is, it's a kli, you're not allowed to take the lid off of a kli. What's the difference between taking off the lid of the kli? That's how Chazal looked at this. If you didn't think like that, then it's also okay. But that's how Chazal looked at this. Now, Lamaisa, don't get confused. Sometimes you have the drain holes that sometimes they're like different, like the gold one, talking about the drain hole that's screwed in and it's gold. And the one I'm thinking of is gold, right? It's not 14 karat, right? And it's not plated either, but that one you only take off when there's like a real steamer and things like that, and whatever. Okay, that one, is that possible? What it is like this. It has 2 little tiny holes to get in. You know what I'm talking about? You know exactly what I'm talking about. See, I used to have an old deer like that. It has those 2 little holes, right? And how do you take it off? I think you have to put in like something here and something there. And you go like this, right? You take like 2 screwdrivers and you go like this, right? That's how you do it, right? What? You know what I'm talking about? I wonder if that's like an interesting base of chiza. It's like, what? Sorry? Right, but here you're getting involved anyways. It's extremely tight, and that would be related to the sugya of tkiya, which is a different sugya a little bit. And what? Meaning, even if I would come along and say that it's mitzad being karka, maybe you could say that it has a base of chiza, which I'm not sure if that's called a base of chiza. But maybe tkiya, when it's not meant to be opened, it's meant to be closed, is like the sugya of tkiya, which is actually going to be considered. But the Maisa, I saw all the poskim say this one is aser. I just say it's not as pashut why they make it up, but you have to explain it. They all say it's aser. Everybody, even I looked and said this case is aser. The right said I lost my cheshik already, but Al Kapanim, it's not barur exactly what it is. If it's right, but I would have thought that it's a chiddush. It's a beis achiza there. Those things are beis achiza to take it out. It's a shtickle chiddush. It gets opened up once in 2 years or 3. Who cares? Beis achiza is a matter. Elamai, maybe this sort of tkiyah. That when they have something which is meant to be closed and it stays closed for extremely a long time, so then that's probably tkiyah and that could be derisa. But that's a secret we didn't learn yet. Meaning, all I keep telling you is that karka doesn't need tkiyah. But if karka has tkiyah, it might be a problem. As long as it's meant to be one. When people see this, they see the oneness. They see something which is always going to be closed, right? The chiddush is that it's a whole separate gold, right? It's a whole separate color. And you see bar that it's meant, but it's yeah. And what is it? It's like coming out of the wall. But usually they don't have a lid. They have a lid. Which one are you talking about? The toilet? You're back to the toilet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that considered, when it's attached to the wall, is considered karka?
Mine, the one I'm talking about with the rectangles, anyways, derisa probably, because that's like the tris box. The whole surah was to be a part of the karka mamish. So that's anyways derisa. That's anyways derisa. Okay. Oh, we're done. Okay, let's go. Now we start the share. What? What's the difference between what the gold one? Okay, so like this. This one has. It's like this. And again, I'm not 100% sure about these stars, but this gold piece or whatever, it's a very borodic beis achiza. It's borrowed. You have a hole over there, and that's the way you open it. You just go like this. The manhole is 2 svaras. One is Rabbi Zilberstein's svar, that you need a chachman and umnis and a chizik of extreme strength and skill to be taking it out, which you do not need over here. I think you don't need such major skills. You need some skill to take it out. What? No, do you need skill? What? I mean, the truth is like this. I never opened it. It's something only a plumber does. But I always thought you just go like this. Now that I'm thinking, maybe it's something. What? And because it's been there for so long, so it probably does. So maybe you're right. So maybe you have a bit of Zilberstein Svar anyways. Something that so requires strength and umness in order to pick up. So maybe you have a bit of Zilberstein Svar. Okay, look, if you have a bit of Zilberstein Svar, so then there's no point in. Yeah, maybe. It's probably something that a regular person can't do. Okay, so I take it back. If it's a regular person can't do, then you anyways have a bit of Zilberstein Svar, and the Chavmar to argue on that Svar, and that becomes the ground. And therefore, the chayya, so that'll become karka. Okay, it's got one more thing. I don't know. They have these suction things that you put on the wall, but there's lots of different types, right? Like what? Like what's an example? When I grew up, there was something called Nerf. Do they still have Nerf? Or no? Once the smartphone came, like a lot of they still have Nerf. So you take like a suction and you stick it to the wall, right? And then that Nerf basketball hoop would be there. I remember in the Dira when I was a bacher, there was like a Nerf basketball hoop that was like, for a Seder, for the bad guys, obviously, right? So I don't know, what's that? We stayed there for like months. What? No, we're no longer in this sugi. Now we're in the sugi more of Moisif Alabinian. Is that called the Moisif Alabinian? What? Sorry? It's surahs of such that, listen, what did I tell you? The nusach is that when somebody leaves a dira, when someone leaves a dira, so they say, I take everything attached. There's no one in his right mind that wouldn't take that's about it not attached. It's clear that a person doesn't just yachis to it as being attached. So I would say it's mutter. The only thing is, somebody told me that they have like suctions today, that they put up like hooks and things like that, and they leave them like for years and years and years. Well, it's like a little more scary when you realize that these things could. My brain was in when I thought of the Shiur originally. I was thinking of like the Nerf basketball hoop, which like when you think that who is that Schwartz, Michael Jordan, like you think you could slam and whatever, and boom, the whole thing comes down and whatever, right? Great hasagas, right? But what? And what? It's a clamp. That's the hook one. You can't even get it off. Where is it? No? Yeah, the clamp is also like a beis achiza to open it, though, right? mean, that's the whole part. The clamp is a base achiz, and then you can take it off.
Very strong magnet on your fridge.
It's like it. Why is it different than in a Velcro mezuzah that becomes one? Velcro mezuzah, we said, becomes one. Magnet, what? No, but he talks about one that Yossi has one that they clamp on and it stays on forever. Someone told me he has a hook in his house. It's been there for 2 years. That's what he told me. I said suction. I'm saying, I don't know, maybe it's a clamp. Maybe he has this clamp. I don't know. It's been there for 2 years. He says he has a hard time believing that you can do it on Shabbos. That's what he asked me. Well, you have a scar that the mezuzah you have to leave. It becomes a part of the carcass. My leiv thinks it's mutter, but it's borrowed that this is something that you don't that you take when you leave the dira, and that's not considered a chelik of the dira.
Why is it
You know.
Why is it not in the state? You take it off. You want to fight on the fridge.
It is different. Well, I'm not afraid of anyone but God. I'm afraid he met with me if I said it was mud. There's one thing they could talk.
It's a nail in the wall.
What? A nail in the wall is a vital fixation that becomes a part of the karka. That's the example of becoming part of the karka. Huh? No, I'm not in the sugya anymore of, I'm now in the sugya of back to Moisef al Binyan, what's considered a chelik in the Binyan. What is there, Bitzlik brings this guy?
The whole thing of suction, Rabbi, is so, why did the guy do the suction? Why would you use the suction? Why to make it part of the wall?
Yeah.
This is external.
Listen, again, if I was not afraid of God, I would say it's mutter. Because I definitely think it's mutter. I don't know. What about a fire hydrant? No, but that's not attached to the ground. But that's B'nai B'Kalim. We're going to talk about Kalim starting today. Today's Shiur is about B'nai B'Kalim. But a fire hydrant. Oh, you mean the fire hydrant? I thought you meant the fire extinguisher. I'm sorry. What are you talking about? Like the fire hydrant, what you're not allowed to park in front of in Brooklyn? What? So what do you want to know about it?
It's that to take off, because that's basically that sticks out.
So you take off. How does it work, a fire? What do? You take it off? And what do you do? And it takes off something?
It takes off, it takes off the cap and it comes up.
Well, the second you take off that cap, the water just starts coming out, and then you have to attach the thing. But first you take off the cap. Whatever, there's some type of a cap that you have to take out. And that thing is what? Does that be like a kli? Is that a kli? I don't know if that's a kli.
No, it's definitely a base.
No, but I mean, that's like a base achi. Why has it surah? It might be tkiya again. I don't know. I'm nervous with the tkiya business. What? Usually when you'll be opening one on Shabbos, it's anyways good. No, but he means stam, like, he wants to stam, get a drink or something, You can't use a sprinkler on Shabbos because of Zaraya. The truth. Your wife's a Jew? No, there's grass. I don't know what happened today. It's like we didn't learn. Okay, I don't know. It doesn't make sense to start. What? Very strong magnet. And what does it do? No, but what is he putting on it? It's so magnet. It's so magnet. You're not moving. He's talking about something that you can't move because it's heaviness. It's heavy nature. Right? You can't pull it off. By mezuzah, we said that would be. It depends on its surah, maybe. It depends on its surah. Yeah, so if you'd have something that the surah of it is of such that it's I mean, a magnetic picture frame, that's how they do it? But it has like a magnet on the back, on the wall. Yeah, the square magnet on the wall, then you attach a metal to it. So the picture wouldn't bother me. Because that's a picture on the wall, but that wouldn't bother me. That's considered Moisef. I don't think so. All right, that's considered a Moisef Alabinian. Nah, that's mutter. All pictures are mutter. You said to me yesterday, Rabbi Zinger has a picture. What was your case again? So that's pretty serious because he's attaching it to the wall with tape. So that might be a shaila anyways of either chesish, you want to call it maybe toifer. That might anyways be a shaila when you're attaching it mamish with tape. Okay, look, what should I tell you? Rabbi's like, Darlin's a Gibetan. It's a game weiter. You have to go to Sivav. Tomorrow the Shiur is on Sivav, no games. Sivav is the biggest sugya in Kimat the Gansel Shabbos. Rabbi say, Sivav is the biggest sugya Kimat. Binyan Bekalim, and this is where electricity comes in. So big sugya. Okay, tell you what's going to be.
I'm trying to go to the toilet to see Shiur Ches. Why
Say goodbye then. Bye guys. What is this? Schlüsselfelds aren't coming this week. What's going on? Rabbi Adler, when are you coming back? Don't pretend you're on mute. Rabbi Chodi, what's going on there? What's the matter? Is everything okay? There's Rabbi Buki. Rabbi Buki, there comes a point when you're supposed to leave Australia, right? Even the English pulled out after a while, right? When's Danny coming back to me? Where's Danny? Sachia, I don't think I see you. I see you also. Where's Danny? Where's Danny? What? Oh, you're going to have to hold it like this? Where's Danny?
I'm on Zoom. I hear it like, why is it coming up?
It's amazing. Look at Gershon. He's right before he's going to bed. It's unbelievable. Do you realize that right now in Australia, it's Shabbos? No, it's Shavuos. This is Shavuos. Look at this. He's learning all night on Shavuos. What do you mean you got it today? So then where are you? Get on the phone, get on the plane and get here.
He doesn't remember.
Just like people